Hello guys, join me here at Tipton House, which was the first place, well not the first place. So basically, as people know, and the reason that I feel like I've got to move on and get on with some stuff is that back in July 2015, I felt like I had gathered lots of people onto, a double-decker bus and gone up and down the country and everything. And then one day, just after Aaron and Faith's actual adoption got finally stamped, I just sort of went, I'm off. I got dragged off by Dean and, well, not necessarily dragged off, but convinced that I needed to go and do something a bit different. And it's been an absolute challenge since then to sort of get to any version of an actual lifestyle, because I've been dealing with income, housing, how I'm going to pay for this, work, my body, health, blah, 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 blah. And then obviously, as you know, I was arrested at David Cameron's election night. And then Hayden, who was there with me, had gone back to Winchester and been arrested at the MP's quarters there. And then, as you know, he didn't make it out of prison. And this sort of really rocked me. So anyway, as you know, I went off, and then Dean was held on remand in Bristol, which completely changed things. And as you know, found out I was pregnant with Elijah. Dean was released, no charge. And January 2016, it must have been January 2016, we came to Portsmouth City Council, where I was born. My mum was currently living here, and went to my mum's that night, went straight to housing the next day, was put into a B&B, and then was put here in the red block. And the red block, as you can see, it's all red, is Tipton House. Just to give you an idea of what you're walking into. It's like this. All these rules: no dogs, no cats, no gas bottles, no skateboarding, no smoking, no cycles, residents only. And these are all like temporary and secure tenancies, but it's red, high dependency. And it's a big tower block. You can even hear the bells from the city hall over here. So, and the other thing is, it's all door securitied up. So I was on the 10th floor, literally placed into a Roberts Centre. And a Roberts Centre is basically like what, well, they do have like mums and baby unit. I need to be careful because my phone is out in the rain, and I don't want my phone to fuck up. So a Roberts Centre is basically a set of properties that are owned by the Roberts Centre that take in people that are classed as homeless and are care of duty of the local city, or whether they go through social services, things like this. So this is basically this building here that you see me at the park with my son out the front. And if you could imagine a woman who's come through all of this and then is up in this floor, and I'm pregnant with my son, and I'm having to go and sit with these strangers coming into my flat that I don't know, that are asking me about money, budgeting, filling out benefit forms, filling out housing benefit forms, filling out council tax forms, filling out social care forms, filling out midwife forms, filling out healthcare forms, and then having to go up to the hospital to do all of the normal stuff that comes with pregnancy. And then, obviously, social then said, right, she's got a tenancy, so let's sort out a proper secure tenancy. So they took us out of there, where we were in a 2-bedroom flat, and they moved me here. I walked from there, from that flat with all the little things that I had, over here, because I couldn't bring my car through here to do it, and came into this gate here with all my boxes, and came into, as you know, Johnny 5 up there, and came into here, where pretty much I was based on the second floor up there. And this is where the dancing and skating started, as you know, heading into lockdown. And then obviously the play park that you'll remember over there, and then the council office over there. And pretty much for that whole time of my life, my calendar and my schedule was pretty much built around statutory meetings that I didn't know about. And when we were placed into that one there, right, me and Dean argued and said, what is the point of putting us into a one-bedroom place when this is meant to be longevity for a family, a couple with a baby, with the intentions of actually being a family. We had the youth centre across the way, which was bang, 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 noise, 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 noise. And then also so when I first ever came out in 2013 onto Downing Street going, look, what you're doing isn't fucking working because it's still happening and it's happened to me and I'm not willing to run away. I'm not willing to, I wasn't in a situation to run away because my children, Aaron and Faith, were taken from a hospital and it's like, they were here. It wasn't like I could go on a rampage shooting people, like Taken, go and get my kids, get on an aeroplane and go. Was that physically possible for me to do? I don't know, because I'm not that sort of character. Had I been that sort of character, social services wouldn't have come near me anyway. This is the irony of it. If I had been somebody like the Crays, social services would have come nowhere near me, and they wouldn't have done. Now, we all know in America that social services obviously intervened on Will Smith and Jade and that, with their daughter taking a photograph of an older guy and stuff. I've got people behind me, so I just need to be careful. Don't want to catch vices on, because he's on the phone. So anyway, basically my life became wrapped around being pregnant, going to maternity stuff, and because I was in a secure tenancy, nobody was talking about going into a mother baby unit or anything like that. Now, yet again, nobody has ever taken into consideration that I've now officially been a mother for 25 years, and at that time had actually been a mother for 16 years. So then you've got this line where people go to work and they buy their land and they buy their houses, and some people have many houses and they rent houses out, and some people do things differently. The thing with social, and what annoys me about the state, and it doesn't matter if you're somebody who's got shitloads of money and you get a drug addiction or alcoholism or you go for a grief, it doesn't matter. If you go to the Priory, or if you go to anything to do with mental health, the first thing you get kicked into is the benefit system. It's signed off sick, yeah? So any person who's at work, any person who's in uni, college, school, whatever, you have to get a sick note. And that sick note is about 28 days, and they will pay you statutory sick, yeah? What some people now know to be called... furlong was different because that was about lockdown, but it's very similar, yeah? But so if you had COVID, then obviously they've got to look at your sick pay. Now, I'm just walking up the hill as well, because I've had to do a managed move and argue that when I very, 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 very first ever came to Portsmouth, I gave them all of the paperwork that showed what was the correct situation to do with me and my children. And that was, I was a maternity high risk for the basis of a pregnancy and the birth plan. Nothing to do with anything else. The problem with the multi-agency framework, and I'm just coming up here past the school now, right? So you've got Stephen Morgan all over the place at the moment going, Conservatives are shit, children shouldn't be in school that's got no ventilation, there's no park areas for the kids, children need to be out in the fresh air because obviously this is the best thing for COVID. So this here is Arkington, yeah? And you all know that I used to say, my God, if I end up living over there and sending my kids to either the cottage over here or Ark Arkington. And when they moved me, I couldn't believe it. And I was at the top of this hill and Ark Arkington was here. I'm not saying it's not a good school. I'm saying every school is wrong, right? And we've got a whole world of mental health. And it's not about mental health. It's about broken consciousness. We have got a whole world of people that have literally come out of their mother's womb. Straight away, you're into this health and safety rules that mothers can't hold their babies in the hospital laying in the bed. Mothers can't carry their babies around in their arms, blah, 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 blah. It used to be that mothers got 10 days in a hospital to rest and prepare, especially if there were stitches, especially if there's any tears, especially if there's any complications. Babies in Skaboo are separated from the mothers with only hand contact. So straight away, we've got a bond deprive immediately, right? I have never, ever allowed the hospital to not allow for me and my baby to lay on the bed, yeah? Only an alcoholic or a drug-dependent person would ever roll over on their kid sleeping codependent. Every single one of my children has slept with me in the bed, probably to bed hopping in and out up until when they're older, yeah? Every single one of my children have been naturally fed. And every single one of my children has fallen asleep with me in my arms as I'm feeding them, because you don't have to wind a breastfed baby in the same way you do have to wind a bottle fed. It's not that you don't have to, because some do, but it's not necessarily as much as a baby on formula milk anyway. So then you got to literally take your little baby that hasn't really even understood the perceptions of the world so far, doesn't really know anything outside its living room, its bedroom, the hallway that it runs up and down, the garden that it might be in, a few of the mum and baby places that a mum might take them to. And then all of a sudden, at the age of 2 now, at 2, they are expecting you to come along and drop your kids off behind these gates. And what exactly can these gates seriously offer my children? Look. They've got some nice pretty colours in there. But then you're asking people to go into a classroom away from their parents, and then there is a thing called a study. And this study decides whether a child has an insecure or a secure attachment to their parents based on how they go in a classroom and sit down. You're then asking for a teacher to be able to deal with a high number of children, to sit down in a class, to be able to engage them in learning the topic and subject of that day, pre-written, pre-programmed, and has been pre-programmed that way for many, 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 many hundreds of years, apart from the fact that we don't sit there anymore, go 1, 2 is 2, 2, 2s are 4, in the same way that we do. And we do things like now, A, B, C, D, and it used to be A, B, C, D, you know. And then also we're asking children to learn lies from day one. Father Christmas, Easter Bunny, Halloween, Mother's Day, Father's Day, everything from history and the perception of history, learning that there is only one sovereign being, and that's the Queen, not properly really ever learning the proper history or anything. And if you challenge anything, if you challenge the perceptions of teachers that have gone through the same system, the same primary, the same high school, the same college, the same university, probably taken a gap year somewhere between there, who's then regurgitating from a book based on hypotheses, based on psychologists and sociologists and historians and people who are still learning, still growing, and then papers are sometimes 10 years old. And it's all based on who is setting the core curriculum, who is setting the values, principles, which are not particularly taught. They're meant to be taught by the parents. In some countries, they don't even consider children going to school till they're 7. Now, in an ideal world where everybody's lovely, everybody's peaceful, everybody's wonderful, teachers are absolutely amazing, they engage with the children, the headmistress has an organised facility, assembly is absolutely lovely, all the children have an amazing time sitting down at the table, playtime is absolutely wonderful, the dinner ladies are brilliant, but you can't hold their hands anymore, you can't hug them, and you can't show any physical form of emotions. Your children are not told that they're loved all day. The children don't get to have cuddles with mum and dad. Nan doesn't get to drop in and say hello. Aunties and uncles have to really wait until Christmas if they're even lucky. Cousins barely ever get to see their cousins, and children don't get to make their own friendships. And then we're asked, what do we want to be when we grow up? And then we're obtaining something that we never ever get to be. Everybody dreams of sending a rocket up to space. And so far, the only people that are really doing this is NASA, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, because they're the only people that have been able to afford the components to turn something really small into something big. And some people want speedboats, and then they turn these remote control speedboats into massive big boats. And they even get yachts. All these kids, these want to go around on these electric motorbikes, which I think are fucking awesome, and I really want one. And there's a gap between what you can pay for, what you can afford, and what you tell yourself that you can't afford. And the universe will provide that, but we're not taught basic fundamental laws of the universe. We don't even talk about periods. I'm on at the moment, by the way, a little bit narky. Don't use sanitary pads, fucking hate them. I can't think of anything worse than blood on the outside of my trousers. I use a Tampax. I've used Tampax my whole life, but when you give birth to a baby, you can't. You have to use a sanitary pad. It's not a nice thing to do. Women bleed, it happens, and it's something more natural than farting, shitting, pissing that a woman bleeds every month in order to conceive a baby, to bring children into the world, to not have to put them into a state institution when we are the mothers and they are the fathers. We've got grandparents. But it's all about what job somebody's chosen, who they go to work for, whose dreams they're building. That person doesn't give a shit when you die, mate. They just replace you with somebody who takes their job. They don't give a shit if you turn around and go, well, I'm leaving. Unless that company is 100% dependent on everything that you do, they won't even negotiate. You're replaceable. Everybody is replaceable. Imagine the child with a dream of being a footballer that only gets to go out and play football after school and at weekends. You know, how many children are playing for that same place? Netball, there's only so many positions, 7. Yeah, there's only so many positions in football, 11. There's only so many positions in Parliament. There's only so many MP positions. There's police officers, nursing. It's all about budget and how many people they can recruit. Yeah, the army, recruit. It's all about recruiting. I do believe that Hitler recruited a massive big army. You know, if I really wanted to recruit people, I could recruit people. It's very easy to recruit people, okay? So then, as we walk up here, we come to where I've gone for a managed move. Now, this is all really difficult because as I spoke on my live the other day, I grew up with a lot of land around me. I've always had a garden. I raised Liam and Daniel living in a 3-bedroom detached house with a garden, with a pond. Even with Aaron and Faith, even though we were in a mews, I still had a garden. We were still in a house. I still had the normal facilities that, you know, you get ready for bed. You go and have a bath, you get your pajamas on, you know, you get your book, you read, and you shut down and you go to bed. And when you wake up in the morning, you get to come downstairs, go into the kitchen, go through your morning routine, get yourself ready and do what you need to do. But when you're in a flat, it's so fucking difficult to do that. And especially when you've got so many people around, and especially when you're somebody like me, because when I get up in the morning, I want to be able to get up in absolute fucking bubble mode, because that's the person that I am. I love my music. I love jumping up and down. Even the fact that I'm coming in here now and I feel like I need to whisper because I'm entering into a zone where people are sleeping and going to bed and got to get up for work in the morning. And they think, look at that cunt on fucking benefits, mate, who's out with her kids at the park all day. You try living with my condition. I've already had my ankle out tonight doing something in the house, trying to move things. And then I've hoovered the boys' floor on losing my dodgy hoover. And my wrists have been fucked. My left knee was completely upside down and twisted. And it's like I'm every day working on sculpting, on making sure that all of this works right and I can do this because I can't think of any other way to work. So that means I've got to change my standards again. So here we go. And then the irony is because of all this Sharon stuff that started when I very, very first came out and everybody that's jumped on it and other people that have jumped on it. And then I went and did the dancing. That was the woman that reported me, and I'd only just moved here. So I've got my car there at the garage, a flat up there. Dean's up there with the kids, obviously, hence why I'm out here. But I can't even, in the summer, so take my boys now, they're not young, they're not babies anymore, they're 5 and 4. Even if they were at school all day and I had them on a Saturday, yeah, and I said to me, Mum, come round, my dad come round, my brothers, my sisters, all my kids come round, that would be fucking interesting, wouldn't it, in a 2-bedroom flat with no dining room? What am I going to do? Bring them out here and pitch up a tent and sit out here in the garden? Yeah, I can do it for the community, but I can't because housing would say no. I can't even put a trampoline on there for the kids. I can't bring toys out on here. I can't do anything. To move again takes packing up the house, which causes me physical pain and problems, getting a van, which costs or hire or buy or sell my car. My car has got hundreds of people wanting to buy, not hundreds, but about 15 people wanting to buy my car right now. Flip it over, but I've got one pair of hands. Dean's here to help me for Sunday. So my plan at the moment, the rain has kicked in again, which has pissed me off, because it's been absolutely beautiful and lovely, but now the rain's kicked in. That's really annoyed me. So Sunday is a car boot here. It's a pilot and it's going to be at the D-Day Museum. So I'm going to do aiming for that. So I don't know if Dean's going to go out with the boys tomorrow or we're all going to go out with the boys tomorrow. It's still really strange between me and Dean. I've done his washing and it's like, I've done your washing even though I'm not your wife. I'm not your mother. You know, it's quite sad because I've had a love you, email to sort of go, look, I love you. So I don't really know, but the boys have loved being with their dad. They always do love being with their dad. But then when I said I'm going out, they wanted to come with me and he'd only just sort of got there. So anyway, I'm going to be literally trying to clear out that garage. Everything else going down to charity. And I just need to make cash. I just need cash in my fucking hand, as much cash as I can get. Because I'm also hitting, well, I have already hit it. I've hit that plateau where Universal Credits only works for 3 weeks for me, not 4. So, yeah. Help me. Boys' breaks. But again, be grateful for what I've got. I get it. I understand it. But social didn't need to do this. It didn't need to be this way. They didn't need to, people out there, the trolls, didn't need to cause all these problems for us. Because had they hadn't, then Portsmouth was where I was born. They had my paperwork. They know my conditions. And we would have had a proper occupational therapist assessment, and we would have been put under medical. But it's because of all these sensationals and all these defamation people. And the problem is they send emails to the police. They send things to social. They send things. I've read emails and emails to Hampshire police about me and stuff over the last couple of days. And luckily, they haven't stopped the boys' stuff properly. But they have, because we're still not with proper specialists when we could have been. So hopefully these people stop. I'm going to come and talk about Amber and who she actually is. She's not a personal friend of mine. She's somebody who's offered to help, but she's not someone who can do the job role that is needed. And it's as simple as that. Simple as that. So anyway, I'm going in.